Hello and welcome back to the CreepGeeks podcast. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And this is episode 289, season 7.
Cold medicine doesn't work. Peru alien bodies, Uri Geller's naked alien, and gatekeepers of the paranormal.
That's right. Got a lot of weird stuff to talk about.
Sure.
So anyway, we decided to take a little break from the podcast because, there was a holiday and stuff, and we actually went and seen a couple of waterfalls, and we had a unusual experience that fired Omi up, so she'll be happy to tell you all about that. It'd be great. Nothing like putting her on the spot before we even get rolling in here. But anyway, it's good. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. So if you're listening. So anyway, as we roll into the podcast, we do have some things that we like to take care of. And we're going to do, we have some messages that we'd like to relay, or a message or two that we'd like to relay to our Patreons. So if you're not a Patreon person or a patron supporter for us, don't listen. All right. Got some sad news. This is about Adam. Adam's had a little bit of a relationship crisis.
Oh.
Yeah, his appendix decided to leave him. just left him. So, but from what I gather, he's doing fine and, got rid of it. Mm-hmm. I say good riddance, sir. You didn't need that thing anyway. I mean, nobody knows what it does. So you looked it up on the internet, and it was just a bunch of garbage. It's like, this thing doesn't do anything at all.
Okay.
Yeah, just like the medicine that everybody takes when they're sick, that doesn't work either.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, too. We're also going to continue Dave's Dusty Drive, or just Dave's Drive.
Yeah.
Next podcast episode. So there you go. We did get a message, because we get messages here and there all over the place, all over the social media realms, and we actually have a toll-free number that you can call and leave us a message if you'd like.
And that toll-free number is 575-208-4025.
Yes, and we have a Facebook group and a Facebook page and all that good stuff. And when we get messages there, when we see them, we answer them. And you got one a little while ago, a couple days, 3 days, whatever it was, asking about the Brown Mountain Lights.
Yes. And this person was going to plan a trek up to see the Brown Mountain Lights in November. They wanted to know the best time to look for them and favorite spot and some other stuff. Now, they have researched it a bit, so they do understand, the chances of seeing them may or may not be too good depending on when exactly they head down there. And that's great. At least, acknowledging that before you search after something like ghost light phenomenon is always a good mindset to have.
Well, I think we also probably should say that this is in Marion, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because we do have listeners all over the world.
Yeah. So,
according to my sources.
Your sources.
Yeah, you get these little podcast things that are like, oh no, your reach and influence in the Philippines is decreasing. You should sign up and we'll tell you what to do.
Oh, okay.
I've got like 4 of those. I'm like, well, let me check it out. And evidently we do have people listening in the Philippines.
Cool.
And evidently they don't like us anymore.
Well, this is in western North Carolina.
Yes.
So Linville Gorge Wilderness Area, Brown Mountain Lights are a series or patches of ghost lights that appear that can be seen when you go to the Brown Mountain Overlook, or, as I recommended to this person, Wiseman's View.
Yeah.
Now, there are other reports we've had from longtime locals to first-time visitors to the area that say you can actually see them when you're down in the gorge. There's all sorts of really different experiences people have had. We know someone who had an experience where they were on a forest road and one came near them, So the advice that we gave this person was Brown Mountain Overlook is the easiest way to try to see them, because it's an easy drive up the mountain and you don't need like 4-wheel drive or a high clearance vehicle. However, if you do have a 4-wheel drive or high clearance vehicle, you can try Wiseman's View. Some of the best footage and creepiest interviews we've gotten have come from people who saw them from Wiseman's View or within the gorge.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did also give them some advice about, if there's a drastic change in temperature or precipitation during the course of that day, that increases the chances of seeing them. We also have some locals that swear that you will only see them after weird weather.
Well, that's when we've had our luck.
Yeah.
I've been able to see them. Now that I think about it, we do have listeners in the Philippines, Australia, Malaysia, all over the place. Yeah.
One of-
Texas,
yeah.
New Mexico. I'm just thinking of the top 10 off the top of my head. For a while there, Uzbekistan. So I don't know what that was all about.
One of the
Africa.
yeah, one of the pages I manage it got 2 comments today from Portugal. And I was like,
We have listeners in Portugal.
yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, anyway, it's pretty cool. So if you're listening, keep listening.
Yeah,
Don't give up on us.
yeah,
Yeah. Because, then you'll miss this excellence.
yeah. Oh, but I did also just give this person some general advice since they plan on going in November. If you go all the way up to Wiseman's View, definitely bring extra warm wear and some hot hands and stuff like that because it's usually like...
It's on top of a mountain. It's super cold.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's usually at least 10 degrees colder than what you see on the weather app,
Yeah.
and plus the wind.
Well, it's part of the adventure. If they go up there wearing like a T-shirt and pants and they get cold, they'll never do that again. Just toughen them up. Life's tough, kid. Put on a helmet, right?
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of helmet, I'm going to talk about this a little bit out of order. So I don't remember what day it was. I was cruising through looking at stuff, and I came across this link to an article by the New York Times. And it's called Paranormal Festivity, a Small Town Celebrates UFO Lore.
Yeah.
And so I clicked on it, and it's basically like a slideshow with some brief commentary under each. And it talks about UFO Day that takes over a small Wisconsin town of Elmwood, one weekend in July. And it's, for some, it's a place where they can share stories about the extraterrestrial experiences that become part of the town's lore. For most, it's an excuse to get together with friends and family for 3 days of fried cheese curds, UFO burgers, alien costumes, and UFO floats in the annual parade, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that sounds good. And angle for frisbees thrown from the roof of the local bar. And then I started looking at pictures, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're a photographer and you're going to go out and take pictures for a news article, or even if you're a photographer / writer of the news article, like a all-in-one man band kind of a thing, you would take a ton of pictures. I mean, it just makes sense to take more than 6 or 8 pictures.
Yes, and you usually,
Yeah, but I'm getting to the point, and they did, because you can't go anywhere without taking 50, 60 pictures, and I'm the same.
Yeah.
I'll take about 30 or 40, depending on whatever, because I've learned you don't take 200 pictures. That's dumb.
I still do it.
I know. You need to learn that. There's some people that can get away with that because every picture they take is amazing. And if you go to Mark's Instagram, every picture he takes is amazing, or at least the ones that we see.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming with the gear he's got. But anyway, I started looking at these pictures, right? And you're looking at the composition and everything, and you're looking at the subject matter of the picture and pictures. And they are all unflattering.
Yes.
And it's like, if you're a photographer and you look, you would never use these pictures. You know what I mean? Because they're unflattering to the subject matter. And the goal is not to make the subject matter or the subject of the picture or image unflattering.
Unless, of course, it was intentional.
Right.
Yes.
And this is like one of those things where if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, oh, this is great. Yeah, look, there's my kid. But then when you start really, and I started really getting into it, the more I looked, the more angry I got.
Yeah.
Because it makes these people look stupid. Mm-hmm. It makes them look trashy. It makes them look poor without hope. There's like one picture out of I think it's 10 where there's one person smiling. The rest of them, they get a nice picture of the professional wrestling going on and the people yelling and drinking beers. It does not, I think, do this little town justice. Every picture is terrible, and they were taken with some kind of weird style. There's heavy set children playing at this. It just, if you were trying to document how terrible life is in 1950s or even let's say 1930s Appalachia, this is what you would use: a crack-infested town in like West Virginia, and you're trying to capture, the plight of the people. You would use that. This is supposed to be a happy celebration, and they deliberately trash this town and these UFO people.
Yeah, they deliberately, because if you look at some of the statistics for this UFO festival, for a small town, I don't have the stats up. I had them up the other day.
But it's small, it's like 500 people or something like that. Maybe 30,000 people.
But the attendance for this event is very admirable for a small town doing a UFO event. On top of that, we go back to that intention. It was like whoever wrote the article and assigned a photographer, or if they were the photographer themselves, intentionally did these things. Like they intentionally took photos where there were either not a lot of people to make it seem like desolate. They changed the color tones to give it that washed out hopelessness feel that you talked about.
Yeah, everything is gray.
They intentionally, like when you write an article or you do a photo shoot, you have something called a shot list. And it was like this person deliberately wrote up a negative shot list. Like, let's make sure I find the person who looks really unhappy at the event. Let's make sure I find just a batch of people angry looking, you know?
Yeah.
So all of this is geared to subconsciously make the reader go, oh, wow, that's really sad.
Yeah.
And it's not. This could have been geared a totally different way.
Yeah, there's a kid swimming in a mud puddle.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I don't know. Look, it's entirely possible that the person that took this picture, or these groups of pictures, these series of pictures, doesn't know what they're doing. But it's for the New York Times. You know, if I was the editor and all these pictures came across my desk, if I had a chance to see them, I'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is a happy time. Why are you making these people look like trash? Like literally to make them look like trash.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe it's just me, right? Margaret Thomas in the comments is like, wonderful photos. I'm like, you're a moron, Margaret Thomas. This is wonderful. People just having fun. No, absolutely not.
I mean,
they may be having fun, but the pictures don't denote that whatsoever. They were unflattering, and I think it was done intentionally to basically make people that believe in UFOs or like UFOs or celebrate UFOs out to be idiots.
Exactly.
You know? Like the dude standing there next to his Camaro mullet, smoking a big long cigarette going, well, let me tell you what happened, kind of a thing. And I just think it was garbage. It angered me. And if I didn't have to sign up for a New York Times account, I would have put something in there and said, wow, you did all these people a great disservice with your garbage article.
They did this whole town of Elmwood a disservice because it may actually detract outsiders from attending this event.
Yeah. I mean, if I was looking at this and I'm in, I don't know, North Carolina, I'm like, let's go to this UFO thing, and I seen these awful, desolate pictures, I would not go.
Exactly.
I'd be like, just don't have time for that.
Which is messed up because this is a 3-day festival that has been going for 40 years every July. And like, I'm looking at other articles, more regional, and it's like kind of like the Bigfoot Festival out here. They have bus tours that run every 4 hours with full-size school buses that
Where's
are
the cheese curds? Where's the happy kids eating ice cream? Where's the good stuff, man?
They've had to upgrade and get 2 larger buses. Yeah. I mean,
you wouldn't know that from these pictures.
Yeah.
You think these pictures, this is like some coal mine in town that's going away.
And
the people are desolate, and
you are affecting the tourism and the economy of an area by writing such a horrible article.
Yeah. And we know, or I know, it wasn't like that at this event. They deliberately picked pictures that didn't show the people happy.
Yeah.
One smiling person out of 10 pictures.
Like, I bet there's this one really desolate photo here where it's like 3 kids and there's a kid in the foreground with alien ears on. I'm like, I bet they intentionally made sure that was an empty, desolate road to take that isolated photo.
Yeah.
You know, it's
trash. It's like, it's a type of paranormal, I think, gatekeeping, where you want to make sure that you portray the people that may or may not be interested in this sort of thing as being dullards or stupid or not worth it, right? Yeah. Socially undesirable people you wouldn't want to hang out with. Much like the person that put something on our van when we went to go see a waterfall or two. So over Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend, you know, we're like, you found 2 waterfalls that I could walk to, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big hiker and I don't like walking around. Waterfalls don't do a lot for me, except for the second one we seen. I like that one a lot. So we go to this place to go see a waterfall, and to be honest, it was not very awe-inspiring. It was a tiny, tiny, tiny little waterfall.
Yeah.
And we come out, and we left. You know, it was time to go. It was getting dark, and so we took off. And I didn't even notice it because we have a very large windshield on our 2018 Ram ProMaster 2500. This thing whipped off the windshield. Now, I've seen that before where people have slipped like little notes and stuff underneath our windshield wipers.
Yeah.
And if I see it, we'll turn around and go get it. But sometimes it just whips off at 80 miles an hour. I'm like, well,
because we've already
it's in God's hands now, because I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't even see what it. But in this case, we seen it. And so we did an amazing turn, because the ProMaster has the best turning radius out of all the vans. Mm-hmm. No, seriously, we didn't go off in any ditch, right? And then you hopped out and grabbed it.
Yeah.
And I was expecting like something like, hey, we're going to listen to your show, or can you call us, or, something like
Or
that.
I got a story to share.
Yeah, because we get that quite a bit. And, anything you want to share, you can use that toll-free number. You can also do the Facebook thing, and anything we talk about on the podcast is in the show notes.
Yep.
But that was not the case.
No, it was not.
You should read what was scribbled on a torn in half piece of manila folder. And what I would describe as left-handed writing, because I am a left-handed person, could be male, more than likely this weird female lady that we talked to.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Would you like some music to play underneath it?
No, I would not.
Okay.
I just want my straight rage to
All right.
emphasize this lovely note.
Okay. Ready, go.
Sometimes things that live out here need to be left alone. Passions can damage perceptions. Respect the quote-unquote supernatural, and they will walk amongst you in these woods, captured with your eyes alone. Smiley face. Semicolon. You will see wonders. Excuse me?
Okay, so it's entirely possible we're taking this the wrong way. But since Omi worked for a major company and did email for like 150 years, she knows snarky tone and nice nasty when she sees it.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, well, maybe this is not what they meant. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was getting a little, worked up over it. And I'm like, I've been coming out of this area, in and out of this area for over 40 years. Mm-hmm. This person thinks we're not from the area.
Yes.
This person has seen the van and decided that they must be going out there looking for Bigfoot or something like that. And first off, who cares? That's none of your business what somebody else is going to do. This is America, and we still have some rights.
Yes.
Secondly, and more importantly, why would you put that crap on my car? I like my van a lot. Mm-hmm. If it's a burrito or something underneath the windshield, if it's something like a treat, mm-hmm. I might be inclined to be less. But no, this was like why would you do that?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And the message is basically like, hey, guys, how about let's keep it down and just enjoy nature for what it is, not get out there. And it's like, who are you to do this? And it's like, secondly, yeah.
Okay. First off, you should never be the person to dictate another person's experience of either the paranormal or our national parks and forests.
Yeah.
Enjoy, I'm all about hiking and outdoors. I love #FindYourPark. It is your experience when you decide to go into nature or enjoy the outdoors. You determine what that is. Now, whether that's using a camera and taking pictures of our wonderful landscape and fauna and flora or what have you, or if it's, trudging through the woods looking for Bigfoot, that is your experience, and no one should dictate that at all.
It's like, who are you?
Now, there is an angle to this because some of these words are very familiar, and I feel like this person thinks that they might feel they are more aware than I am, and is trying to emphasize some sort of leave no trace ethics and principles.
Yeah, which is fine because we do that as a matter of course anyway.
Yes.
I come at it from a different little way.
Well, let me finish with that because leave no trace, the primary principle is take only pictures, leave only footprints. Again, just, it's the experience of the nature. On top of that, you tore a piece of heavyweight paper to write a note on a vehicle and put it on a windshield, not knowing if we'd actually read it, bother with it, or if we might actually take it and litter, even though you were the original litterer.
Yeah.
I am furious over that.
That's right. She absolutely hates litters.
I am...
Litterings.
No, I mean, to accuse us indirectly, or maybe not intentionally, of not practicing leave no trace ethics, of which I have the badge, I have the banner, I have the little stuff for it.
All right, don't be virtue signaling.
I will.
All right.
But, to indicate that we are not enjoying nature according to LMT principles.
My thought is that they think we're not local.
Yeah.
And they go there a lot. And so how dare us show up into their neck of the woods to do something that they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
And thereby they need to give us a little nudge or a little note or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first off, I'm lazy enough to not have renewed license plates in a minute for a different place because you don't know, right? But I've been in and out of this area for 40 years. Don't gatekeep the forest. It's not up to you. You don't
Yeah.
need to ride in left-hand lane and slow everybody down because you think they shouldn't speed. And how dare you?
And like you said,
It's just basically how dare you.
don't gatekeep the forest, but also, I mean, this is indicating we will see wonders. You are gatekeeping.
As long as we're respectful.
Yeah.
You know, and I would get that. Hey, if I got a note that said, "Hey guys, respect these woods because there's weird shit about," I'd be like, "Thanks, man.
Thanks,
I
man.
know that."
That's
but,
a
you know,
tip.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. At least they know that too.
Yeah.
But it's not. It was aggravating. It was frustrating. And it's like, how dare you gatekeep the paranormal
And the woods.
and the woods? And it's like, and you don't want to say Karens or whatever because that's been a term for people that have been getting into business that they shouldn't be in, and it's none of their business.
Yes.
But that article set me off. This thing happened after the fact. So I was like, wow, that's two.
Yeah.
And then we went and seen a second waterfall, right, in a third location, if you will. And we had nothing happen to us. I fully expected something weird because we were the only thing in the parking lot,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, we have signs. We have signs on there, and it's basically and we've gotten gifts left on the van. But I like
Other
when we go to
podcasts, thank you
like
guys.
slipped in. I reached my hand in the door handle, thought it was a big hairy spider. It was like a bracelet and stuff. I mean, that kind of stuff's kind of cool. But I mean, come on, and it's part of gatekeeping the paranormal. We have enough of that stuff going on
Yeah.
to where if you do try to do serious work, you know, people are going to look at you one way, side eyes or whatever, and then you've got other people that are like, my stuff is better than your stuff, and how dare you talk about the same stuff I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's enough of that going on, and paranormal as a whole. The topic is going away.
Yes.
It's been going away. And even with the UFO stuff, it's still going away. We don't need that kind of stuff. But more importantly, if you're listening to the podcast and you're the one that left a note, how dare you? Don't touch my van. And if you've got something that you need to say, why not talk to us where I can basically tell you that we know more than you.
And I'm torn between properly recycling your note or framing it.
Well, I got it in the van. It's still in the trash can where we put it because in our van we carry trash so we don't throw stuff away.
Yes.
And we reuse plastic trash bags from all sorts of fine shopping establishments like Walmart, Dollar Tree, and Dollar General. I'm not throwing them away. They are the perfect trash can size.
That's true.
So we use them. You know, that's what we, hey, it is what it is. But, you know, it was just ridiculous. And if you're a Patreon member, it's on, you could read it.
Yeah, I'm going to be.
With a spiffy little picture. I've already done it. It's up. Oh. It's a post along with the article to these terrible pictures that are just dull and lifeless and just gloom. It's like they shot through a garbage Polaroid film. It's just, they're awful, terrible pictures.
Yeah.
It's like they were deliberately desaturated to look this nasty. And they basically made these people look nasty, and it's unflattering. And it's the New York Times is trash for posting that picture.
Yeah.
And if the person who said, yeah, go ahead and post that, either they were in on it or they're not paying attention, but it was just.
Somebody's got it out for Elmwood. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, they made them like a dumb podunk town. Like, hey, come on down to Garbage Town.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about UFOs. It's like, come on, man.
Whereas I'm actually excited.
And if you talk about cheese curds, like come on down and eat some cheese curds, and they're going to be eating cheese curds for 3 days, not one picture of cheese curds, you should be fired.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, cheese curds.
But I'm actually kind of excited for that event. I'm like, if we're ever in that area, I kind of.
Well, if I seen those pictures before I actually did some research, we would 100% not go.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not going there because it would be come on down to Garbage Town. You know what I mean? Come on down to Garbage Town, see our UFO stuff.
Yeah. Right?
So, yeah, that was a little aggravating. And speaking of aggravating, cold medicine is for suckers. So this is a recent thing that just came out. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not. More than likely you have. But remember a long time ago when people would buy like 85,000 Sudafeds and do something to them and get the active ingredient out to make crack or crystal meth or whatever it is, right? Right? Remember that? They're like, oh, you can't buy all these Sudafeds because you could make meth out of it. Or crack. If you're a meth head or a crack person, let me know if I'm wrong, right?
Do not contact us with drug
So anyway,
recipes.
they took the active ingredient and they're like, oh, and they moved it behind the counter and you couldn't buy it. And it's like, and these drug companies are like, hey, we understand you need to be decongested.
Yeah.
And you probably can't go get it behind the counter from a pharmacist or whatever because the pharmacist is like, well, you bought 2 of these over the past 2 months, even though you're a family of 6 that can't breathe because of allergies. Yeah. We can't sell them to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because like that way you're going to go to hit every Walgreens or CVS or Walmart or whatever and try to get 85,000 boxes of this stuff so that you could make your drugs. Right? Stupid. Anyway. The active ingredient is like phenethylamine. I'm not a pharmacologist. I can't pronounce any of this stuff. It's like phenephrine. It's like an ephrine thing, right? That's the ingredient, right?
Phenylephrine.
Yeah, and it's been used for decades. It's in dozens of medications, right? But what they're finding out is, this is according to the FDA, that if you bought an over-the-counter product containing that phenephrine, anyway, at a cost, here's what's $1.76 billion has been spent on this. According to the FDA, the efficacy rate, or if it actually works or not, doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. We do not believe as a panel that the current scientific data support a dosage of oral phenephrine as an effective nasal decongestant. So if the FDA revokes it as a status and basically says, why take it if it doesn't work, it's probably not good for you because it needs a safe and effective ingredient, it means it no longer be sold in the U.S.
Oh.
So if you're thinking, well, I don't really have to worry about decongestant. We're talking about like NyQuil, Dayquil, Vicks 44, all the stuff you would take for severe cold medicines that you'd buy off the shelf. It has a decongestant in it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So $1.76 billion industry of this severe cold and flu cold medicine industry is going to go away.
Yeah. And
because it's not effective. So if you're taking this thinking that it works, maybe it does, maybe it's because I've bought stuff and you've bought stuff and we've used it when we were sick and it worked mostly. And not as good as like getting Sudafed from behind the counter with the side-eye glances from the...
Some of these... They work okay, but maybe it's all the other ingredients that are working okay.
Yeah.
Some of them, like we still have like half a bottle because it just did not work.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've noticed with some of these that contain that phenylephrine product, you got to be careful because like it could be like a nighttime cold medicine and I'm up until 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
Other ones, they don't necessarily decongest me, but then my contacts or glasses don't work as well as they should.
Yeah.
And to see, like, I'm looking at this Reuters article, and there's a member of, I guess, the FDA that quotes, "The patient community requires and deserves medication that treat their symptoms safely and effectively, and I don't believe that this medication does that." So the vote is to possibly lead to the removal of all of them.
Well, I think that the solution would be, how about we put the stuff that works back in it and treat everybody like adults, right? And then maybe make it to where if you're going to buy like a Sudafed or an Aleve cold and sinus or something that actually works from behind the counter, that you have to put in your phone number or something so that tallies, right? And anyway, and so you could buy it again like a grown-up. I mean, it's not like we're people out there that, I mean, okay, let's just say us, because I can't speak towards everybody else, right? Yeah. We're not out there buying spray paint to hoof it, and we're not buying all the Sudafeds to try to make backyard crack.
Yeah. Or meth.
Or whatever, meth. I don't know. I'm not good at that sort of thing. So it's like, how about you put the stuff that works back in it?
So you haven't bought decongestants lately. I've usually been the one that goes into the drugstore or the pharmacy and buys them. And the process in at least 2 of the states we've lived in is basically I have to know exactly the product I need, because if I slip up or I say I'm not really sure, they have the right to refuse service in certain states.
Yeah, I get all that.
Then, after I do that, I have to not only show my ID card, but they have the option for some states to actually copy it, and then they have to put in my driver's license into a national database. And if that driver's license or that name or whatever pings more than X amount of times that I'm not aware of in X amount of days, they have the right to refuse me.
Okay. That's ridiculous. Let's fix it. It's stupid. Let's go back to the way it was.
And
I mean, you could do the same thing. If you got somebody who's like buying it online and they're buying 75,000 units, we'll just flag it and say no.
Well,
make a limit of 1 or 2.
When we went on vacation across country and I had bought Aleve cold and sinus and I accidentally left it here, We had to wait a whole extra day before, like, we could go to the drugstore
Well,
and
it's
go
a good
get
thing
it
you didn't
again.
buy the other stuff because the other stuff obviously doesn't work. If the FDA is jumping in and say it doesn't work, and it probably doesn't work, because here recently we've been watching enough of these shows
Yeah.
on TV, about fentanyl and stuff, where the FDA seemed to be relatively complacent with the whole thing. Don't know how glamorized or how off the mark those shows were with the. I mean, come on, think about it. Hulu and Netflix at the same time very nearly put out the same show, or at least it seemed like it. So
Yeah.
it's aggravating. The cold medicine stuff doesn't work. I'm sure if you take a look and you try to find something, you may or may not find something that you've been taking that you think works. If it does, great, but just be aware it's entirely possible that it may go away.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I'm sure the pharmacy industry probably doesn't like that, because you clear off half their shelf,
Yeah.
3/4, a whole row, a whole aisle of severe cold and stuff. But isn't it coincidental though now that they're starting to kick back on? Oh, hey guys, Corona is coming back. It's going to be even worse this time. We're probably going to start implementing masks and stuff. And now they're going to take away the medicine that you would take.
You mean at the bottom of this article how it's predicting a triple-demic instead of epidemic
Oh,
for
nice.
hospitals?
Yeah. Oh, and I just got an email going, hey, come on down and get your flu shot. I'm like, is it coincidental? Oh, hey.
Mandatory health fairs by employers.
Oh, nice. Are they going to go back to saying you mandatorily got to get this shot again? Probably not. I do think, though, if that comes back into play, in a lot of places, it's not going to be mandatory, considering there's been evidence come out. No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Makes people sick in some cases. We'll see. Anyway, life is good, right? So, speaking of alien corpses being on display.
You are fantastic at transitions.
My segues are legendary. Well, I'm rolling through it for two reasons. One, I don't want to spend too much time going into all these because it's all silly.
Yeah.
And two, I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
And I refuse to stop the recording because, hey.
You'll lose momentum
I will.
on one thing, but gain momentum on
it
another.
wrecks the whole thing. In my mind, I have an A, B, C, D, and some subpoints.
Okay.
I don't live like that, but I'm trying to do it in some kind of order to make it all relate. So here's the deal. It all relates. We've got paranormal stuff in UFO Festival, right? We got things being gatekept because of experiences that have happened to us so far. And the latest and greatest thing has been, hey guys, there's aliens, right? Check it out. And so I seen this and was like, let me explore. So, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention or if you've seen videos, right? But evidently, there's been some alien bodies on display at the Mexican Congress.
Yeah.
So the Mexican Congress holds hearing on UFOs featuring purported alien bodies. And this was in September, where Mexican lawmakers heard testimony that we are not alone in the universe and saw the alleged remains of non-human beings in an extraordinary hearing marking the Latin American country's first congressional event on UFOs. So, there's pictures of these little miniature, alien bodies, right? And evidently they were found in Peru, I believe in 2017 or 2015. It was covered. The bodies were like like mummies. They're dehydrated, like desiccated, right?
Yeah.
And they were covered with diatoms, like diatomaceous earth type stuff, right? And these bodies have been studied with, CT scans and DNA and X-rays and all this other crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they were brought out where this dude made basically talked about them and said, hey, we're not alone, that kind of thing, and passion plea. And so he put them out there, and you could go up and take pictures of them and stuff, and they talk about, what the deal is. This guy's name is Mason, I think, or
Jamie
Mason.
Mason.
Right. So he said that they're about 1,000 years old, and he's like, here, check them out. Do whatever you want. And we have, this is evidence. And there were some weird things about it. One of them is that one of the bodies was purportedly to be female because she had eggs. Like eggs inside her, right?
Okay.
And they're saying this is more almost like a reptilian style alien, but it's very small, maybe a foot tall, right?
Yeah.
And they have all these scans and stuff. And when I first looked at it, I'm like, man, this is as fake as you can get, right? I'm like, this doesn't look right to me, which is not a big deal. So I watched and they talked, you know, and did the presentation, and it was on YouTube. You can watch videos of it. And so I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. To me, it just instantly seemed to be disingenuous, right?
Yeah.
So here it is some days later, and there are people out there, organizations out there, including a bunch of mummy experts that says this is not real.
Yeah.
And based off the evidence and the scans that you've given us, the body parts that are used to make up the skeletal aspect of these mummified bodies don't make any sense. There's skeletal sort of irregularities going on. And even goes so far as to say, well, if you take this piece from this animal and put it in and flip it upside down, and you could build your own sort of alien here, like the legs don't make sense. There's really no hip joints in there, right? Mm-hmm. And all of it, so it was fabricated. It was put together.
And here's the thing. Jamie Masson, we all have short-term memories, but I believe it was either 2015, he presented a Be the Experience Something event. And he got debunked between 2015 and 2017 for basically posing similar-looking alien corpses. One of them turned out to be mostly a human child.
Yeah, which is,
horrifying.
Right.
And it basically had been, unfortunately, modified or...
This reminds me of P.T. Barnum, right?
Yeah.
Except for it's a little bit different. He's not necessarily selling entry where you could see the Fiji mermaid or whatever, but...
And I'm sitting there like, I know this guy's familiar. Why is this name familiar? And then if you go and you search for this dude, you find stuff from Gaia where you can find where he was getting mentions, and then suddenly Gaia's like, oh no,
Yeah.
And Gaia's kind of out there on some things.
So let's just say the authenticity of his presentation has been called into account.
Yeah.
And there's even a couple DNA experts who are like, wow, if you read this and you know how to read it, this is already fake.
Yeah.
As in, it's not. Not to say it's not made from real pieces of things, but not. And, and also the anatomical experts and anthropologists are like, you couldn't even walk.
No.
If this was your skeletal structure, you wouldn't be able to walk.
And I'm still I'm trying to find it because our Twitter blew up the other night for some reason because we don't really use it anymore. But let's
be clear. The reason why we don't use Twitter is because what? It's not because it's owned by Elon or anything like that. We don't really have a lot to say on it.
And some alien people are very assertive.
They're just catty with a lot of things.
Yeah, but we were watching back and forth, and there were some people defending this presentation of evidence with that's because it's what humans came from, or these are so old that they're the original humanoid creatures.
Yeah, and if you're in a weightless, zero-G environment, you don't need to walk. Well, if you don't need to walk and you don't need to propel yourself along, then you don't need the arms and legs.
Yeah.
Over time, you just lose it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say...
Is it a functioning limb that walks?
I think it's de-authentic. Is that a word? It's unauthentically. I was thinking of unapologetically true or whatever.
I was going to make a joke about the limb, vestigial.
Yes, I don't think they're real. And I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, what if they're fairies?"
Yeah, that was the other thing I saw.
And then Hollywood certainly got this right. It's like what? Okay, so if they're thinking that it's based off being 1,000 years old and the purported alien bodies came before Hollywood, that sort of thing. I'm like, oh, Steven Spielberg got that right. And I'm like, okay, that looks like E.T. It's like, okay. And even went so far as to say, well, depending on, how you look at the skeletal structure and construction, and that spinal cord is really straight, that the head could retract in like a turtle.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no
So it's a turtle person now.
Spondylitis going on, or I'm like, what? All right.
It's a turtle reptilian.
Look, it can shrink his head in if he needs to, like E.T.
Oh,
so
that's disgusting.
I don't think it's real.
No.
So yeah. So speaking of naked alien bodies, moving into the podcast again, right? I thought this was pretty strange. So I'm like, what? But it's right in line. I don't know if you grew up in the time where you had like, well, I guess so, because back in my day in the 70s and even in the 80s and stuff, magicians got famous.
Yeah.
You know, you had like Doug Henning and I'm trying to think of famous musicians, not musician, magician.
Yeah.
Doug Henning, and then you had Uri Geller and I don't know, Penn and Teller. Then you had Chris Angel. I mean, there's so anyway, there was a bunch of them, right? David Blaine. So during that period of time into the Vegas shows,
Harry Blackstone.
Is that a real dude? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that movie.
Mark Wilson.
Yeah. Okay. So
Amazing Randy.
Yeah, but he turned into a skeptic. He would disprove everything that you did. I think it was a $1 million. If you could prove something, if he could not prove it, like if he could not disprove what you were saying, with your psychic ability or whatever it was, he would give you $1 million.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, he's passed on since then. But so I came across this on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And it's Uri Geller, and Uri Geller is kind of a weirdo. Anyway, he's always been kind of strange, but he has a picture. To me, it looks almost like a Polaroid picture that somebody had sent him, or he says somebody had sent him, of a naked alien in a basement.
Okay.
And that what makes this groundbreaking and real is that the naked alien has genitalia. Right? Female genitalia. And there's a picture of it. And if you click on the picture, you can't tell. I can't tell.
It looks like it was taken with a potato, this
Yeah,
picture.
so I'm going to call it a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be the style. But there was a picture, and he puts it up there, and it's on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. And it shows this picture, and the picture looks more real of an alien as the desiccated Peruvian mummified 1,000-year-old aliens. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this was secretly posted on X by Uri Geller, and I just realized I've spelled Uri Geller's name wrong 4 times in our podcast.
Oh.
Right? Mm-hmm. He said, when Whitley Strieber saw this, and he said it was a real photo and that this one is a female. This is the only reason why I'm giving this any sort of credence at all, is that Whitley Strieber said something. And that was from Strangelo, who's posted on Twitter. But Whitley Strieber wrote, the book, Communion?
Communion, Majestic.
Yeah, he's had his own experience.
Yeah.
So he said, so Whitley Strieber seen it and said it was a real photo, and that the one that was pictured in this photo is female. And this guy said the first thing I thought was, those things lay eggs? Because something about the abdomen looked insectoid.
I can see that in the unzoomed in photo, the photo that zoomed out a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could picture like an egg laying scenario. You know?
And Uri Geller is kind of famous for like bending spoons and stuff on Carson, like Johnny Carson. Yeah. And so, it's really hard to see the picture if you're listening on the podcast. But I did put a link for the people to see it if you want to check our show notes. But I don't know how I feel about it, because that picture came out first, right? And then the UFO conference, the Mexican in Mexico conference on the alien bodies that were shown, came out second.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, is this some sort of coincidence? And then I'm thinking, so what diversionary tactic is occurring right now that we shouldn't be paying attention to? That real conspiracy people
the whole
should be distracted to.
Dangling one thing in our face when something else is actually going on.
It's like, all right, let's stop talking about direct energy weapons or directed energy weapons in Maui.
Or the impending medicine crisis.
Yeah. And now you're going to get sick. You better get the shots because the medicine doesn't work.
Yeah. Or it's funny.
You better buy gas because the big old refinery in Louisiana caught on fire, and now it means gas is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
But we got to lower the price first so that everybody buys it.
Or I was reading a sci-fi book.
And then we can raise the price.
That was aimed to be more like a comedy. And it starts off with like these women who have been abducted by aliens. And they had these preconceived notions of what aliens are supposed to look like, because they're like, one of them, she's all into TikTok, and the other one is into paranormal podcasts, right? But then, and they're all trapped in a room, but when the aliens finally come out, they look nothing like what we see on Twitter or what you read in sci-fi books. They're like these blobby creatures.
Yeah, and they call them fake.
And they stink.
Yeah.
And that's the comedy part of the sci-fi book, you know? So it's like, they had, and like one of them was all like super into alien romance books. So she's getting super excited, and it turns out it's like this pile of jello that rolls across So, and I always think of that when these possible hoaxes happen, is like, are they just trying to condition us to expect, or, I don't know, make our uncanny valley or our uncanny senses respond to that particular image? When,
I don't know.
There might be something else that's actually a UFO and it looks nothing like what we're all saying they look like.
Well, you could have just used an octopus for an example.
Yeah.
If you think aliens look like little ET, and then here's a real alien who's really an octopus, or that movie we watched a while ago, it's the best Star Trek movie ever. The Galaxy Quest movie. Right. They didn't look like.
Yeah.
They looked like octopuses.
They were kind of squiddy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. But there's a picture, and there's this, could be an alien. In that picture, I don't know what the deal is, but it could just be sketchy enough to be real.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If it was a perfect picture, what would be the first thing that you would say? And I would say as well, that's fake. And then if it's too blurry, that's fake. So what level of authenticity do we need to have in a potato image for it to be like, that could be real?
Yeah.
This thing gives me the fizz more than the Mexican, Peruvian 1,000-year-old mummified alien bodies.
Those creep me out genuinely because, I feel that parts of it might have been a living creature.
I think it was entirely at one point made up of like llamas and baboons and monkey feet and everything else.
I'm just afraid, human child type stuff.
I would hope not.
Yeah, but I feel like these people are getting desperate to,
And you would think that.
Yeah.
I think they're going, the time is now. There has never been an opportunity to make more money.
Or
right now, I can make $10,000 a month passive income. Let me show you how. No, it's not a pyramid scheme.
Also,
it's half of a diamond.
Also, my freezer's full.
Yeah, my freezer's full. Yeah.
So awful.
So I don't know what the deal is with what's going on. So we try to put a couple of those things in there, and and it leads to this. If you really want to know, with maybe some information that might be slightly more credible. Or authentic, I can't even talk, authentically, anyway, real. I'm having a hard time, man.
The real.
Yeah, the real. So there's going to be a new website where it's not completely 100% fully functional, or at least it wasn't at the time I put this in the podcast, but it will eventually become more functional where you can search for things. It's the Pentagon's new UFO website. So you can explore the unclassified sightings with the information involved. And it's aaro.mil. That means .military, so it's a government website. And you can actually see what they've declassified in the information and stuff. And it might be worth a good read. Maybe you could do some research. Because I recently seen a thing that said go fast UFO footage, the UAP footage or whatever, where NASA looked at it and said, yeah, you know how fast that thing is going? 40 miles an hour. Not 400, not 4,000, that kind of thing. And they use like telemetry data and angles and stuff, because when I looked at that and watched that thing flying by from the vantage point of the fighter craft that have its tactical video recording or whatever, it didn't look that fast to me, because there's a thing called Doppler and Doppler shift, and it's how a cop can go past you at 80 miles an hour and you're going 20 on the road, and they turn around and zap you with the radar gun, and then what happens? They're like, you were going 85. It's like, absolutely not.
Well, this website, I hope it hurries up and launches, because right now it's just a landing page, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, they have to build it. They have to get it all the way done. So what I did was I put a link that'll take you to CNET, and then from CNET you can click on the link to go into the website, because it kind of gives you an idea. Like there's a section of videos like unresolved case, the 2021 flyby and UAP video. So there's all sorts of videos and stuff. It has there's links and things like that. So you could kind of watch some of this stuff. So when the website goes completely live, and gets completely filled in, then you'll be able to go to the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, and then you can look and see the reporting trends that are being brought out from the actual reports that are coming in. So you can do a little bit more research. And it's got all sorts of stuff like education resources, congressional reports and briefings, and news and press products that are out there. And they talk about their mission and additional information about AARO. Also, there's a link for a Freedom of Information Act request at the bottom of the page.
I just tried to who is this URL. I don't think I have anything useful.
Well, they don't have to. If you do a who is on anyway. So anyway, it'll take you to FOIA.gov, and you can actually do your own request where you can search for information, or you could request information. As far as the cost or not, I'm pretty sure there is, but I don't know what it is. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It seems legit. So if you want to do your own little research based off of what's currently available and being categorized and documented by the U.S. government, feel free. But I don't think I would trust the government to give you all the information that you wish to see, because it's the government. And why would they do that?
Yeah.
You know, I think certain things should be kept secret when it comes to national security, like how good our weapons are and all that stuff, because I think we should win when we do conflicts. But I mean, yeah, it's sort of probably a selfish thing. I think most places that get involved in conflicts want to win. But just remember this, guys. Sometimes things that live out here need to be left alone. Passions can damage perceptions. Respect the supernatural, and it will walk amongst you in these woods, captured with your eyes alone. You will see wonders. You ever bought Dr. Bronner's peppermint? Right? Mm-hmm. You know, on there it has all sorts of weird sayings and stuff. Like, I used to have part of it memorized because it seemed so psychotic to me. But all for one, trust in one, or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. It reminds me of that. That's why I think it was that lady that stopped to talk to us about our dog. She seemed kind of hippie and weird like that. It seems like she would kind of get that sort of Dr. Bronner's.
I was going to say, it reminded me of a series of cards that Hallmark came out with in like the early 2000s. And they all had like these slightly vague, blanket, mystical, inspirational statements on them.
Like fortune cookies.
Yeah, but way longer, and they were $7 a card.
Yeah,
back
not
in
in my
the early
world.
2000s, they were, you know.
Yeah, but I think most people that get cards probably wouldn't mind it if you just gave them a hand-scrawled card with $5 on it. You know, instead of like, oh, look at this amazing $7 card. Now I'm obligated to hold on to it and don't know where to put it. Right? You put it somewhere bad, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I spent $7 on that card, and you just stuck it on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Or, oh, hey, you know, that kind of thing. So it seems, it's just a little, what are you going to do? So at this particular point in the podcast, I think instead of going for an hour and 25 minutes, we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think 53 minutes and 30 seconds is probably good enough.
Sure.
So if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, we would love to hear from you. Now, if you did write this note and you stuck it on our van, and you can give us details about where, when, and that sort of thing, in other words, so we know it's absolutely you, then I'll be more than happy to autograph my middle finger and send it right to you. So, no, I don't really care. You know, it's you got more worked up than me, which I thought was pretty funny. But I was just amazed at, you know, how good we turned around, basically on a one-lane road.
And I ran out to go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd been better if it was like $50 bill or something like that. Like, what?
No, like you were saying earlier, like, you know how, I guess it was last year, we had 2 different podcasts leave us fun stuff on our car.
Yeah.
You know, and thanks again. And, you know, sometimes we'll have people we know leave some fun things.
Yeah.
This was not it. And like all the way, right into the last 2 footsteps, I'm like, man, maybe it's like one of the people we know out here.
Yeah, because that's possible too. We do know people. People know us, and sometimes they're like, I looked for you, couldn't find you, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you know?
Where are you? And it's like, well, we're obviously not there, dude. So
we've had notes where it's like, you know, waited around because we wanted to see Pepper. Not you guys, Pepper.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. We're here for Pepper.
Yeah. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media, whatever your platform is. We are most likely on it. And all you have to do is look for CreepGeeks Podcast.
That's all you got to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have a chance, you want to check out our Patreon, you can certainly do that. We do put links and stuff in there when we talk about good stuff. So it is what it is. But we do appreciate you taking time to listen. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. We'll be back pretty soon with another episode, and we're going to put some Dave's Drive in there. There's a couple more things to talk about. It's pretty interesting. So anyway, let's all be safe out there. And remember, your cold medicine doesn't work. So if you're all congested,
No.
you could do like this one person who made a comment, says, just get some Altoids. Peppermint Altoids, put like 6 or 8 in your mouth, and you'll be good to go. Because it's strong. Yes, it is. It's very
I've
strong.
tried that trick because somebody posted and I did
So,
not
I don't
want
know.
to go to the store at like 10 o'clock at night for like cold medicine. So I looked it up, and that was one of the suggestions.
You got to use Vicks Vapor Rub. Just stick it right up there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right, anyway, see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.